Hello and welcome to another episode of the watchcollective2 podcast. My name is Ahmed Gaudat. I'm your host and one of the watchcollective2. And today I have a very special guest and most probably the youngest watch brand founder that I've ever met, and most probably the youngest in general. Today I have VELINI's Omar Al-Najjar. I'm honored to have him today on the episode. Hi Omar, how are you doing?
Hi Ahmed. Thank you for having me here. First of all, it's a pleasure.
Most welcome. It's my honor, and I'm really excited to have this episode with you because for me, you are a young watch brand founder, and maybe we can start with a quick brief about yourself, definitely including your age because this is the key.
So, I'm Omar Al-Najjar. I'm an Emirati national. I was born and raised in Dubai, and I'm 22 years old. I have a background in business management, but I have a huge passion for watches, especially designing them and appreciating them. And thank God, I went with I followed my passion, and here I am now.
And I'm extremely, to be honest, proud of you.
Thank you.
Not only because you're young, also because you're an Arab as well. But maybe before we get into VELINI's story and what does VELINI represent and all of these topics, maybe we can touch base at the very beginning on how did you start collecting? Because as you mentioned to me previously that you started this out of passion and you started collecting before even getting into the whole idea of launching your own brand, right?
Yeah, so since we were kids, we always used to love watches and wear watches because my dad, he was a huge, just like me, he had a true passion for watches, and he always used to get us watches and teach us about how watches work. And since day one, me and my brother, we've been always interested in watches. And I started collecting, and I started collecting 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I got into watches with more detail. I got in
mechanisms and technicalities.
Yes, I learned so much. And I was always fascinated with the idea of watches in general. And it's almost the only accessory I would wear. So
it's even famous that the saying that watches are the only men's jewelry. So this is why we care about watches more than women, maybe because they have other jewelry types, you know.
Yeah, it applies to me. Like with watches, it's my only jewelry, if that's what they call it. So I found the passion along the way. Before that, I feel like I didn't have a specific passion towards a specific thing. And then, I'm glad I came and leaned towards watches because honestly now
you're in love.
I'm more than in love.
And let me ask you a question. So, how did the whole watch designing and VELINI started?
So I remember 2-3 years ago when collecting, I loved my watches. I loved them all, but I always wanted something of my own doing. So as a kid, even before watches, I always used to draw. I loved drawing very random things, and people always used to say, "Oh, you always loved drawing," and I noticed that and realized that when I started designing.
Yeah, it became helpful.
I'm glad it came in handy. But yeah, I had an image in my mind that like a case with an octagonal shape, specific size. Then I kept sketching and seeing how it goes, and then I came with a lot of sketches. I had many sketches until I reached like to the point, okay, like I want to bring this piece of paper to life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is at this point I was looking for anything to start the watch business, because I always wanted to wear a watch of my own.
But you also mentioned to me once that most of the pieces that you owned or collected, you always found flaws, right, in the pieces.
Yeah.
What kind of flaws that you noticed in big brand pieces and you wanted to enhance in yours, you know?
Like I noticed very small things in other people's eyes. For example, a specific watch case that I would find it much better with a bigger lug width for the strap, just because of the proportions. And sometimes I feel the strap is too big for a very small watch, or vice versa. So this is one of the many flaws or issues I had with my watches. So I always wanted something that could be perfect in my eyes.
Yes. I totally get your point. And let's shed a little bit of light on the story when you've done the first watch and you introduced it to the people around you, maybe family members or something. I know there is a story behind it, and maybe we can touch base on it a little bit.
Yeah, so before talking or asking my family members or just taking their opinions, when I got my final sketches ready and spoke with the manufacturer to start doing the prototypes, I ordered the prototypes, and they reached, and when I saw them, I was shocked. Like I was in denial, because I was saying, how
it's an unbelievable moment. This is your watch. You know?
Honestly, it was unbelievable, because one day this was just a sketch on a
paper.
Not even paper, notepad. So when I got the watch, I was surprised, and I took it to my family members and showed them the watch, and I was like, "Oh, I got a new watch," and they were like, "Oh, it's very nice." And where did you get it from? I said, "Oh, I made it." They were shocked. They were like, "What do you mean you made it?" I said, "I made it." Like you designed and did everything? I said, yeah, and I'm planning to move forward and make more of the watches
and have a proper brand.
Yeah, have a proper and start a watch brand. So they were happy, they were proud
and shocked
as well. Yeah. And honestly, they keep supporting me till this day.
Definitely. They should. I can imagine that they are extremely proud of you, because previously I told you I am proud of you. Imagine part of the family related with blood. So, I mean, it's a huge pride, you know. And Omar, as far as I know, your family or yourself were never affiliated to the watch business previously. So. At all. I mean, you are the first one who steps out and decides to have a watch brand, right?
Yeah. My family, especially like speaking of my father, he was always a collector, but it was just a passion. But he never got into designing or making watches. But I always wanted to do something of my own doing.
I mean, because it's more challenging, and since you entered an industry full of, let's say, big giants, and you don't know anything about the industry at the very beginning. You don't know manufacturers. You don't know what to do with the design on an iPad or a piece of paper. So I think it's extremely challenging, and this is something which is worth a kudos to you, to be honest. But yeah, maybe before we get into the models and what was the inspiration, all of these things, but another question which pops up my mind is, what does the name VELINI mean?
So I started off with the design before coming up with the name. And as you know, the watches I made always have VI in the 6 o'clock position, which is
signature for you.
Yeah. So it is my signature. There's no specific reason behind the signature, but I just loved the look of it. It's something new, at least to me. But when coming up with the name, it was difficult to find or come up with a name that, for example, I wanted my initials on the dial or as the brand, name of the brand, but I didn't like them, like printed or how they sounded. So I was like, I need to come up with a really good name, a nice name that is correlated with the brand. So I put a V and an I in the word and kept making up names until one day I stopped and gave up on coming up with a name. So then I don't know what happened. I just VELINI, something came up.
Because it starts with a V and ends with an I.
Yeah, but I said, oh, VELINI, it starts with an V. It starts with a V and ends with an I. I said, okay, this sounds good. I put it on paper, all capital letters, to see how they look. And honestly, I'm amused. Like, I loved how it looked on the dial. It
sounds good. And even it's like sound-wise, it sounds good. And
exactly, a huge factor when coming up with a name.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about it, that the name might not have a lingual story, but it does have a story to you and the brand identity, because you like the VI.
Exactly.
And you like the number 6. So number 6 usually is the number that you put on all the dials. And it correlates or echo or reflect the identity of your design. So I really like it, and I think it's a valid story. And before we get again into the pieces, let me ask you a question. So what was the inspiration behind your designs? Was there any specific models, any specific brands that influenced your design identity by any mean?
I was mostly inspired by the imagination and the sketches I had. There's no specific brand that I was inspired by, as in terms of design. It was mostly the imagination I had and the image I had of the watch I always dreamt of making. And finally, I came up with the pieces I'm making today.
But I know you're a big collector, and you have a wide collection, right? But what are the dominant brands in your collection? Because maybe the dominant brand is gonna be inspiring you indirectly in terms of design as well.
I have a random collection. But I love it like more than anything. I have a few pieces here and there. There's no dominant brand. I have maybe one of each brand, maybe. But I recently got a very nice Zenith. It has an integrated bracelet.
A vintage one.
It's a vintage one from the 70s. It's a new old stock. piece I found from Italy. Very nice
But
piece.
mostly your taste is classical, and this is I can see in the
Very classical.
Yes.
Like you would rarely find a piece that's
modern
that has-
sporty.
you'd rarely find a piece that not just modern and sporty, like very colorful pieces.
Yeah.
And you would see the collection and say this is an old man's collection.
You're classical. I mean, you in terms of even the taste which is reflected in the pieces. So you're classical, and I think we can discuss like the beautiful pieces that you've made till now. Talking about the first one, and I think this piece was limited edition, right?
Yeah, this piece I made it for the 52nd anniversary, UAE National Day. It was limited to 52 pieces, and if you notice, the number 6 instead of the VI,
For the first time, is in Arabic.
and probably the last.
Who knows?
Who knows?
53rd,
I can take
53rd
my mind
anniversary.
tomorrow, I don't know. Yeah, and this was one of the colorful models with the green dial. It has a number 6 in Eastern Arabic at the 6 o'clock position.
And a sunburst
With
green
a
dye.
sunburst green dial that it's not very bright and not very
Yeah,
dull.
it's done with the right amount. And let me ask you, that wasn't the first model, right? There was a couple of models prior to that.
Yeah, there were last year, beginning of the launch. I started off with 75 pieces of 3 colors, colorways. So I had a silver dial, sunburst, and a salmon dial, and a dark blue dial. They were all limited to 75 pieces, and they sold out in 2 to 3 weeks.
That's great.
That was, yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I learned so much afterwards.
Definitely. And Omar, regarding the size of the piece, the dimensions of the piece, what are the dimensions for it?
Yeah, it's 33 by 28 millimeters length times width, and 39 millimeters lug to lug. And the lug width is 20, which was very critical for me, matching the proportions I had.
So I agree with you on this, because I'll tell you something. My main issue or my main struggle with classical small pieces below 36, maybe, that the lug width is gonna be, or the strap size is gonna be 18, right?
Yeah.
My another issue is, or my issue accordingly, that I love changing straps, right? And the problem with the 18 millimeter strap is that aftermarket straps are not focusing on this size, so the options for me are extremely bad.
Yeah, honestly, I noticed, and I had this in mind as well. You have a lot of options for 20 millimeters.
Definitely, the biggest options.
You can say it's the most
80%
common.
of let's say 70% of the market, and then you're gonna find the rest of 30% split between the 22 highest, and then 18 and 16 are gonna be lowest. And 24, I mean, for I mean, it's the perfect size for me as a strap, and it looks beautiful. I'll be totally honest with you. So Omar, this watch is Quartz, right?
Yes.
Ronda
762, Swiss made.
Let me ask you this question. Why Quartz?
Why automatic?
No, I'm asking you why Quartz. And I love mechanical in general, but why Quartz? You have your reasons behind doing a Quartz watch, knowing that the scene of watch enthusiasts or collectors in general are more leaning towards mechanical. They appreciate mechanical. Yes, I see more and more people who are big collectors, do not care much, and they love Quartz, which is fine. But why? What was the reason behind you putting a Quartz movement?
I believe that watches could be embraced and should be embraced, regardless of whether they were quartz or mechanical. And honestly, I'm always leaning towards quartz, especially in my collection. If you get me 2 watches, same price, same exact watches, just different movements, I would most probably lean towards the quartz. I love how reliable and convenient it is. I love the idea of having a watch stored in a safe box for more than 2-3 years, and opening it again and seeing that the watch is still keeping time. It's simple yet so fascinating to me, honestly. And I want my watches to be attainable in regards to price to almost everyone, and I want them to be reliable. And I love mechanical watches, I love automatic watches, but I would always move or lean towards quartz. I have a huge thing for quartz watches.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, again, since you are focusing on quality, so you have a design, you want to have a high quality piece, and you would like to have it as well affordable and attainable. And I think you reached the sweet spot. Moving from the limited edition UAE piece to the new launches, right? So this is in the same signature octagonal case, but it is with different dial styles, right? So why don't you take us through the new launches designs?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, starting with the brushed silver dial. It's one of my favorites, and I did something similar in the past. I love how elegant the dial is with the brushed finishing.
Yeah.
It has silver applied numerals, and as you can see, it has a top strap. It's one of my favorite models from the collection, and very sentimental.
Yeah.
This color is my go-to.
And maybe another question related to the overall designs of the watches. Did you skip putting second hand because you wanted to avoid the pulsating hand and like give a general feel of a mechanical, or no?
No, honestly, I started off with a 3-hand prototype.
For the crosshair?
Yeah,
Okay.
it started off with a 3-hand as a prototype, but then I felt for a dress watch, you don't need a second hand, not because of the ticking.
You don't mind taking
I
it?
love ticking and I love sweeping. I love them both. But yeah, I felt like that I didn't want it to be too crowded, even
Okay.
if it's very minimal. But
Yeah.
I felt that it's a dress watch. You don't
Yeah.
need you don't need the exact time while
Yeah.
being dressy. You get what I mean? So yeah, that's why I just decided to stick with the two-hand design, and I felt it looks much better.
And the second dial that you're launching is...
It's going to be the matte black dial. For this one, it has printed indices instead of the applied. The reason for that is I felt it would look much better on the black dial
Okay.
and the other dial I'm going to show you. But with the black dial, I wanted white indices. And if you see on the hands, they have white, you can say a mini hand inside of the hand with the white indices, and I mean matching with the white indices, and it has a...
This is loomed, huh?
Yeah, it has a bit of loom, just for the fun of it, and for a slight change.
I think this is one of my favorites. And maybe before we shot, I was telling you this watch is gonna look amazing on, for example, a rubber I know it's a dress watch. I know it's severely classic, but if you put on it a rubber CTS deluxe, for example, it's gonna look amazing. It's gonna be looking great for a modern, not a casualized. If this is a word, a casualized dress watch, it's gonna look amazing.
Honestly, I tried with the black dial. It became rubber strap from Opto Watchco. It looked amazing.
It did, and I can imagine.
It gives a completely new feel to it.
Yeah,
I feel it's more sporty, but at the same time dressy. Something weird, but something very nice.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And what about the third launch that you're launching this month?
The third launch is the one I'm wearing now. It's one of my favorite colors color design that I came up with since launching. This is one of my favorites. I recently actually started loving the dark gray dials on watches in general, and I said I want to do one with a dark gray dial, and honestly, I'm amazed.
And this is sunburst, so
yeah, this has a sunburst finish, which looks which has a different look under different types of lighting. It looks bright in some cases and dark in other cases, and the strap that's coming on with it is matching with the dial, and honestly, I'm in love.
I like dark gray so much. I'll be frank with you. But yeah, I mean, this is great. It's 3 models. It's pretty diversified launch as well. So one matte, one sunburst, one brushed. And I love brushed dials, by the way. I don't find it much. I don't find it a lot, but I really appreciate it when I find it. So I'm really happy with the matte black because it's versatile. And I'm really happy with the brushed because it's brushed, you know. But do you think that moving forward, Omar, you're going to be using the same case design or not?
Honestly, I'm thinking, and I have a lot of plans for the future, especially this year. Let's say I'm working on something that's going to be less dressy.
More sporty.
And I can't say much.
We're gonna keep it to this point, but if you still even kept doing dress watches, would you still stick to the design, or are you gonna do something else?
As of now, if while doing or designing dress watches, I can't see myself changing the case. Maybe a change in the size.
Maybe I pause you here. Can you do this in mechanical or no? Just for me, you know?
A piece unique, huh?
Piece unique. I deserve a piece unique.
You deserve more than that.
Habibi.
I'm not thinking of, or I don't have any plans or any intentions in mechanical productions. But who knows? I might change my mind a week overnight from now. But honestly, I'm glad that I know where I stand in this community with the Quartz.
Yeah.
Quartz decision, and I'm glad that I'm getting pieces that I love and people love as well.
Yeah, so it's pretty enjoyable piece, and it's very elegant and it's very dressy, and it looks more expensive than it cost. I'll be honest with you. But another question to you as a brand. I mean, you have a startup, you're a brand founder, and especially you don't have any previous experience from a family business or affiliated businesses in watches. What kind of challenges did you face when you started from having a design on a paper till bringing it to life, selling a full stock? What kind of challenges did you face?
I would say the most difficult challenge was the marketing part of the whole project. I feel all my time and effort went towards the watch.
And the investment, right?
Yeah, and the investment as well in the watch and the quality overall of the watch. I was very, very detailed and gave my all when it came to producing the physical watches. But when it came to marketing, I feel like I could have done a better job from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to have a good reach.
Yes.
And a high scope of viewers,
Especially-
not necessarily customers.
Especially that you wanted to do something balancing between high quality and affordability as well. So
Exactly. Yeah, it was like I'm trying my absolute best to give the best value for money when buying watches from VELINI. I always try to enhance the quality at its most while giving the best prices to the final customer. And it was a challenge to basically, it was a difficult challenge to keep up with everything since I had to do everything. I had to do the marketing.
and it's one man show, so
Yeah, as of now.
it's you alone.
Yeah.
But hopefully things are gonna expand and get bigger. My last question to you is gonna be, what's your vision for VELINI? What do you want to achieve through the brand? I know that it's 1 year old brand, it's pretty new, but mashallah, throughout the last year, you've done diversified models, you sold out, and you even done limited editions and sold out, mashallah, as well. So what would you like to achieve in the near future?
I would love to be spread, especially in the United Arab Emirates, but also worldwide. I want everyone to be able to attain a watch from VELINI watches. I want to see people wearing them because I appreciate the designs and everything.
And you mentioned as well, you really appreciate when you see someone enjoying it. So
Yeah, especially when it's someone I don't know. Like when I see people that I don't know wearing the watch, I feel very proud of myself. Also with people that I know, I feel very proud, especially with my mother. Whenever she's wearing the watch, it touches my heart. I feel very, very proud of what I've achieved since opening VELINI watches. And I have another goal, which is to be to have every option a person wants in the collection. So I want to be able to build an entire collection just from VELINI watches. To have
diver, sports watch.
Exactly. I want to have a line of each occasion, and like I'm coming up with new designs and new ideas.
Any is gonna be mechanical, no?
As of now, no.
Okay. I'll be still waiting for this. But anyway, I mean, I wish you best of luck, Omar.
Thank you so much.
Really looking forward to seeing you, the biggest Arab watchmaker, maybe, who knows. But yeah, and another thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of our journey.
It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. And for those who are watching us, thank you so much for your time. This episode is going to be available on YouTube and all the other podcast platforms. And don't forget to check the new collection from VELINI launching this month in March. Thank you so much and see you next time.